there is something terribly wrong that 1 out of 4 dogs get cancer, and over the age of 10, 1 out of 2.
That
Those
statistic is staggering. Hello, I'm Melissa Knievel-Natanton, certified holistic pet health coach. Welcome, pet health enthusiasts. We are so happy to have you here today. This is the Coaches Collab, where we have real talk about real pets and our real reasons for becoming certified holistic pet health coaches. We are all on a journey and a mission. And speaking of pet health coaches, I have a very special guest today, and you could call her Nacho Average Pet Health Coach. Please welcome the face behind the name, Sunny Gandara.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Thanks,
Hi,
Melissa.
Sunny. We're so happy to have you here. You have quite the story. I know that when we were talking, and we all as coaches, we communicate a lot when we are talking. It's rare to bring me to tears in a pre-interview, but Sunny had me sobbing. And we may or may not go into all of that later on today, but Sunny has an absolutely amazing story from working in corporate, from doing wine. She went to culinary school. She's a chef. Whoa. And mostly, we want to find out a little bit more about you and the namesake, the legacy of Nacho. So before we go there, tell us a little bit about you, Sunny. I want to hear the journey from your mouth.
Oh, it's a long journey, and I'm also old, but older.
No.
I'm originally from Norway. I moved here to go to college, so I left from Norway to San Francisco, and then I did what I was supposed to do. I went to business school, international marketing and finance, and ended up in New York. I was just going to be here for a year and go back to Europe, but I ended up in the music industry. So I was a record label executive for 10 years. I traveled with stars, big stars, Snoop Dogg, Alicia Keys, Gwen Stefani, all, you name it. And after a decade, I was not feeling it anymore. And I just did a huge turn, and I went to culinary school. So I went from making lots of money, living in, 5-star hotels, and making $10 an hour, standing on my feet 16 hours a day. So that was really humbling. But I had always been interested in food, and I had a catering company for a while. Then that wasn't what I was supposed to do. I went into wine, and I got all kinds of certifications. I worked for an Italian winery in Tuscany for the most recently. I have about 20 years of experience there. And in between, I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So I became a holistic health coach for humans. But for some reason, it just didn't quite land. That I've always been interested in health. I was a bodybuilder for a while, actually. And I've always been interested in health. But for some reason, it just didn't jive. Then, of course, I had dogs. I became a dog mom about two decades ago. And most recently, I just lost my dog, Nacho. And thank you. I am going to cry, but I'm going to try to keep it together.
That's okay. You know what? That's why we're having that talk. And we talked about this earlier. And part of the reason that we're here is because there's a really good chance that there's pet parents out there, you out there, have struggled with loss or an extreme health issue with your pets. And part of this is to know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
I think your story is really important, Sunny.
Thank you. I know I've always been an animal lover, right? I grew up with horses, with chickens and ducks and goats. And I had 14 cats at one point where I lived in a small village in Norway. And I was always looked upon as the weird one. But somehow I lost my way, I think, between then and now. And I just was removed from that world, even though I'd always had cats and dogs. But for some reason, Nacho, I got him 6.5 years ago. And I had gotten him after I had a horrific accident with my 4-month-old puppy, Miso, which he's actually right here, where he choked on a bone in front of me. And it's to say that I have PTSD it's really bad. And I didn't know what else to do. I was like, I'm going to jump off a bridge here, because this was like I was alone and my husband was at work, and it was just horrific. And my breeder, who is a very good breeder, she's a she preserves the Cane Corso breeds, he's an Italian Mastiff. And I have a dog right now. You need to just take him. And he was almost the spitting image. And I didn't want to feel like I was replacing him. But for some reason, I feel like he just had come into my life. And ever since he came in, we had just a very, sorry.
It's okay, honey. It's so tough. This is so tough because this is more than just, take a minute, but this is more than just, this is not just dogs. This is the reason that we're here. Once again, these are members of the family, and we are extremely connected to them.
Yeah.
And everyone who's listening to Sunny's amazing story, take note. Look at this woman's heart and her passion. And so many of us carry this into our work every single day.
Of course, naturally, I had a fear of losing him because of what had happened. And I almost felt, oh my God, I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay. So we had just a special bond from the beginning. I can't explain it. It's just like when you say soul dog, he was like soul dog times 10. And my biggest fear came to fruition when in January of 2023, I noticed a lump that seemed to appear out of nowhere, like literally overnight. I always massage because I am an energy worker. I always feel my dogs all the time, and I didn't see it, and it was just there, and I could feel it wasn't moving around, and I was like, oh no. And I'm an intuitive too, so I just knew. So he was diagnosed with hemangiosarcoma, and when I got that call, the only thing I can do is send you to an oncologist. And that lonely feeling of, I didn't even know what hemangiosarcoma was. I was like, but it felt like a bad dream. And when I was at the oncologist, the only option I had was chemo or let him just probably die within the next couple of months, because it's really aggressive. For those who don't know, hemangiosarcoma is a very aggressive malignant cancer of the blood. It usually appears in the spleen. His wasn't in the spleen. It was in the muscle. So it was subcutaneous. So they couldn't even remove all of it. So I was just there like, it's going to come back. The only thing to maintain it from, or stopping it from growing, is to do chemo. And I just wouldn't do it. And I don't know where I got the strength, but I was like, I'm not going to let this dog leave me in 2 months. And they said 6 months at the very most. So long story short, I did my own research. I found a fantastic veterinarian, holistic veterinarian in my area. I live in New York, who practices traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. She's also an acupuncturist. And we came up with this mixture of mushrooms. And if I say how much I love mushrooms as much as I love dogs. So I'm obsessed with them, because what happened was 10 months later, he was still thriving. He was still, in October, he was just eating. You would not know this guy was sick. The tragic part was that he loved his marrow bones, and he had eaten too much of the bones. So basically he wasn't able to go defecate. It had blocked his intestines. So the only way we could remove it, we tried everything, right? Enemas, this and that. And they had to manually push it out and put a tube up and blow it out. And of course, him having tumors inside, one of them burst. So he did come out of anesthesia. I took him home, and 2 hours later, he died in my arms. And it was horrible.
Oh, Sunny, I'm so sorry. And you were barely recovered from the first one. How can one doggy mama heart handle going through that twice in a row?
I almost didn't, but it was like he was talking to me, and this is why I'm so passionate about talking to other dog parents. It's like, you're not alone. And also, he came back and told me that I needed to do something else with my life. And dogs are amazing, and not just dogs. If you have a cat, any animal, they are our teachers. They are our guides. They are so amazing. And so I guess it took me this to actually finally see I need to be working with animals. This is why I told you about all my careers, and something wasn't right. And I moved to the next, something wasn't right. So what happened is that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. So he came into my life to show me what I was supposed to do. And it is so amazing. And I was like, initially I was oh, I don't know, maybe I'll become a trainer, but I wasn't really feeling that either. But I knew I had to work with animals. I just didn't know what facet. And in December, which happened to be my birth month, I just randomly, it wasn't random because I don't believe in that, but I just saw Dr. Ruth's ad and it said holistic pet health coach. And I was like, this is a gift from heaven. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is perfect because I'm a holistic health coach for humans, but I would rather work with animals. So long story short, I didn't have any money, but I'm like, I'm going to put it on my credit card and I'm going to make this happen because Nacho told me this is what I'm supposed to do. And I know this is going to be a success. So that's what happened. And 4 months later, I graduated. And I have to say, I've never felt more fulfilled. And to help other pet parents who, like me, sitting at the vet's office and just feeling alone, like I don't have any option here. I don't know what the hell's going on, but you do have options. There's always something you can do to help your pet. And whether or not it's like going to make him live for years, let them be comfortable, let them speak to you. And I can't explain how important that is when you're in a position like this. It just to feel like you're surrounded by someone who gets you, someone who really knows. And that's what I hope to be for my clients. You're not alone. And no matter what you're going through, there are options.
Oh, Sunny, that's such a moving story. I think everyone can understand why there's a lot of teary eyes, mine included, with all that.
Yeah,
I was very inspired by your story, and I was so moved by your story. You have really been through it, and your passion and your drive to help other parents shows so much. It shows in all the words that you speak and the things that you're doing now. And since then, not only did you become a holistic pet health coach, you're also now a certified professional canine nutritionist. So like you, I feel that Dr. Ruth's pet health coach program really opened so many doors, and turning tragedy into something that can make your soul sing.
Yeah.
I feel is almost the ultimate human experience.
It's really worth it. It's just if you can just take a chance and do whatever your heart tells you to do. I know it's scary. If it was easy, I say everybody would be doing it, right? But when that voice really nags you, and then something like this tragic thing happened, and I don't like to say things happen for a reason, because I would give anything to have him back in the flesh. Believe me, every day I cry. Every time I mention his name, I cry. But you know what? He came here for a reason. Dogs don't just come randomly into your life. So that's why I'm so passionate about show dogs the most care, love, and attention you can give them, because they give it all to you. And that's why it hurts so much to lose them, because they're so innocent and they're so in the moment. And they're everything we humans strive to be. And they're just the most magical beings. And so this is my dream job, and it's tough. I won't lie. It is tough to start again, fifth industry. Now, finally, I found my purpose, and I thank Dr. Ruth, and I also thank you and all the amazing health coaches in this program, because now I know I'm not crazy. There's other people around that feels exactly the same and that are so passionate about animals, and it's really just so heartwarming to see. So I can't say enough about it, and I guess I had to go through hell to get this awakening, but I'm hesitant to say it was worth it again, because I lost my boy. I definitely got of it, and I will that's why I named my company after him. Nacho is his name, Nacho Average Dog Health Coach. And
I have to put this up again because I just love it so much.
Yeah. And everybody loves it. And I think he's laughing from the rainbow somewhere. And I know he's with me every day. And it is just an amazing journey to be on.
It is. How do you feel like you approach working with clients differently because of what you went through?
Most people who come to me, they're really not distraught necessarily, but just really frustrated, because whatever they've been given their dogs or their cat doesn't seem to be working. And again, as I was mentioning before, just to have someone they can come to be like, let's take our time and really go through and assess what's going on with your animal, because that's most of the time, unfortunately, not possible when you go to the vets. Are overworked. And God bless them. I love veterinarians. They do amazing work. But the problem is that they only have a few minutes and then they have to let you go. You're coming into me, I take my time. I'm not lying when I say I love your dog as much as you do, because I love all dogs. And just to have someone who is invested in that. So I approach it from a place of love. I want to know everything. I want to take my time. No detail is left unturned. That way we can really get to the root cause of what's going on. And sometimes medicine cabinet at them or give them all the supplements in the world. But the basic things we start with, and if you've listened, I'm sure we all agree, it all starts with the basic, and that is nutrition. And that's the same with humans. It's if you are eating crap, if you're eating McDonald's, it doesn't matter if you put popping probiotic pills,
Right.
you know.
You can't out supplement a bad diet is what we always say.
Not to say supplements can't be helpful, because they are, especially
they are.
if you have
but not if they're eating McDonald's every day, or as what I like to kibble. Same thing to me.
Kibble is really a terrible thing all around, but not to shame anybody, because I also gave kibble to my first dogs. I had boxers first before I had mastiffs. But there are lots of things you can do to even upgrade your bowl. So don't feel like, oh no, I can't cook for my dog. I can't do this. I can't afford this. There's always an option to do better. And when we know better, we do better, as we say. Really, I come at it with no judgment. Everybody's in their place where they're meant to be at the time. And then together we can learn and we can grow, and hopefully we can get your dog or cat back to vital health. And even if they're very sick, at least make them comfortable and extend their life. That's really my goal. And I have my special love for big breeds, large breeds, a lot of mastiffs and all the sarcoma cancers, because I have experience, unfortunately, with that. And because so many dogs get cancer, and I feel like there is something terribly wrong that 1 out of 4 dogs get cancer, and over the age of 10, 1 out of 2.
Those statistic is staggering.
And I did everything with Nacho. With Nacho, he was fed raw from day one. I was actually way ahead of the curve, I think, with feeding raw. And there are certain things I may have not done. Like I just gave him like whatever treats. And the treats is where you can get a lot of damage too. There's a lot of hidden ingredients. So I always talk about that, whatever you're feeding. And it's not just about nutrition, of course, but it's also emotional, mental. So I do a lot of energy work. There's a lot of answers I've gotten when nothing worked. We tried nutrition, we tried this, we tried that, but then the dog told me something different was wrong. And so that combination, I think, of knowing about canine nutrition, but also being able to tune into the animal. And I also teach my clients to be more because we all are intuitive. You just have to, it's like learning a new language. We all have that part in our brain, but you just have to activate it, right? So that is a powerful combination. And that is what holistic pet health coaching is, as much as holistic health for humans. Is you can't just isolate one bit. You have to look at the whole part. And maybe there's some parts that you've overlooked that you didn't think had anything to do with it, but it does, because we are complex beings, and so are dogs, and every dog is an individual. So what worked for your neighbor's dog is not necessarily going to work for your dog. So looking at it like that, seeing the dog in front of you before starting to, here, have a script for this and eat this and do that. Take time with your dog and listen to him or her. They are so wise. They can teach you something.
Absolutely. You said it so well, Sunny. And we talked about this too, also part of our role. The 1 in 4 with a cancer is staggering. And you brought it up earlier that a lot of our vets are overworked and overwhelmed. God bless them for all they do. But part of the reason that we're here as certified holistic pet health coaches is to bridge the gap and also act as a compassionate guide to those who may be struggling with something as difficult as cancer with their dogs, or diabetes, from vomiting to diarrhea, up and down the gamut. That's why we're here. And the reasons we are here for that is exactly what Sunny said. We've got the time to spend with you. We've done the research in functional medicine, in traditional Chinese medicine, in environmental factors, and in nutrition, so we can help support you and your pet if they're going through something rough like this, in a way that works for you. We like to meet you where you're at. And also, in addition to what Sunny said, regarding that every pet is different, when we can take the time to really get to know you and your pet and what they've been going through, sometimes what may seem like the typical standard of care is going to be much, much different with your pet. And I really clued in on that with Sunny when she was saying, oh, hey, I went a different direction with that. Can you give us an example, Sunny? Sorry to put you on the spot there, but I really was interested. You were saying that you were going to treat a certain way, and then the dog, you thought something was wrong, and then the dog told you something different.
Yeah, I had a client that he just wouldn't eat. And besides the fact that he was eating kibble, I was like, I wouldn't eat that either. I
Yeah.
always say that it's amazing to me that, and this was a woman also who was very into holistic health and was like, I'm only buying organic vegetables for myself and grass-fed beef and this and that. And then she's feeding, granted, it was like a high-end kibble, but it was still kibble. And just didn't make the connection. And that's what I'm also like hinting at. Maybe you should look into this and maybe we can add some fresh vegetables on
Yeah,
top, crack an
right.
egg or something. But anyway, the dog didn't want to eat, and it was didn't seem like there was anything wrong other than that. He was pretty healthy, like a 6, 7 year old German Shepherd. And I sat with him a little bit, and all of a sudden, dogs and cats, they are very stoic, and especially cats, but they don't show pain very much. And so
Right.
it went to show that he actually had, don't know if he had necessarily fractured his paw, but he was just in a lot of pain and just couldn't really go about his day. Even, I mean, he was not limping as much because then she obviously would have seen it. But he told me that there's something bothering me. And sure enough, there was something lodged in between his paws and it had become abscess, but she didn't see it. And he was still just moving around. He was trying to be really brave. But in effect, I said, I think that is really just making him not want to eat because he's just trying
Right.
to be. Long story short, they took him to the vet and they got it fixed and he's eating now. But I don't know if it's because of that or because she actually took my advice and started slowly transitioning him over to a gently cooked diet, which is Dr. Ruth Roberts' diet of crockpot. Initially, I get a lot of things. People are like, oh, I just can't. I don't have the time to cook. But I said, you can cook for yourself. Just don't add salt to it and don't add any onions. There's certain things you can't, put into dog's diet, but most of fresh fruits and vegetables and meats they can eat. So she did do that, and now he's of course lapping up his food because he's absolutely loving it. But there are ways that I can tell that there's something off, and a supplement won't necessarily do anything. And then you have to just again listen to your dog, and that sounds really wacko. It is oftentimes dogs, they just want to please you. They just want to be there for you. And they're like, oh, as long as I'm with you, I'm okay. But then we really have to, not to turn anybody paranoid and start to feel around your dog, but just be in tune with them. And they'll tell you if you listen,
Right.
just listen to them. Yeah.
Right. And it's amazing because I think the overall message that we're trying to convey and that you're trying to convey is that we can't live in fear of the what if, because knowledge is power.
Yes.
And doing the research on your own or with a holistic pet health coach to find out what the best things for our pets are can really be empowering. And it can also give us a sense of security, knowing that we can make good decisions for our pets because we are so connected with them. And at the end of the day, even though Sunny and I can hear them, like you said, everybody has the ability, but they can't talk and they can't always tell us what's wrong. So being empowered to make the right decisions for them is super important because they are such wonderful little energetic beings. And it's amazing. It blows my mind on a daily basis to get feedback from clients or fellow pet health enthusiasts and pet parents that said, I switched the diet and it's 180. They're completely different. And I think we could talk about this all day long. But once again, going back to whole fresh foods as the foundation of health, it's the same for us as humans. And if we're not going to eat burnt brown balls every day, this is my word for kibble, BBB, yes. Burnt brown balls, I will hold that term for them forever. Then why would we expect the same of our little fur kids? And I'm with you on, it's hard to even call them pets anymore because they're really so much more than that. They're part of the family.
I definitely think that there's ways, much more endearing words you can say, but pet is a general word that everybody can associate with. But yeah, as you were saying with nutrition, it sounds so simple, and it really is what the answer to so many things. And another thing is that it takes a while to see the difference. Imagine if you've given, and I heard, and of course, I'm sorry that I can't give credit because I can't remember her name now. But I was listening into a podcast about some nutrition, and somebody was giving the analogy like just trying to make people see how not good it is to give the same bag of kibble every single day. They said if you take your dog to, if you take your human child to a pediatrician, and the pediatrician tells you only give her total cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the rest of her life, or she'll have, deficiencies. You would be like, what is this person talking about? That's great. And that's what we do to dogs. And
Right.
dogs can't talk. So they will eat whatever you put in front of them. They're like, oh, my dog likes this food. He's hungry. He's going to eat.
Well, yeah, they have a drive for survival. They're going to eat.
Yeah. And so I think that, not again to shame anybody, because we all do. And I know there are people listening and everybody loves their dogs. How can you not? Right. And they might buy like $100 bags of kibble. I've been there. And it's just starting small. Don't feel overwhelmed. Just the small, tiny things you can do. And now there's so many amazing resources out there to help you. And of course, we're here. If you have questions, I'm always happy to help somebody who has a question, because I feel like, again, I want to be there for somebody who's really trying their best to get their dog to a healthier and happier life, and to have them live for a long time. The average lifespan of a dog is so short. We need to help and change that and help lengthen their lifespan, because I, of course, would like them to live forever, but I would at least like to see it by another 3 or 4 years at the very least, just so that we can and just share and be together for longer, because it's truly the best relationship ever. And I also don't have children. Of course, they're my kids, but I think everybody feels that no matter what, if you have human children or not.
Yes, of course. And to really reiterate what you were talking about, Sunny, of course, here's the thing. I have so many clients that come to me and say, help, I've got A, B, and C going on. And I think for both of us and all holistic pet health coaches is, what are you feeding them? And we can get so much information just from that. And most often, and once again, no shame in this at all, because you're doing what you feel is right, pet parents. I get you. I did it too. I was there. But most often I get the response of, I'm feeding them the best food. One of the top 3 that shall not be named from prescription diets that a veterinarian has recommended. So here's our conundrum. We've got a pet parent that wants to do the absolute best for their little fur babies, and the vet's advice is to give a prescription diet. Here's the difference. Those 3 companies had some really clever marketing, and it's just, this isn't hearsay, this is just a fact that in veterinary school, the nutrition classes are often sponsored by those, and at the end of the day, they may meet some of the guidelines. However, they're full of fillers, they're full of synthetic vitamins and things like chicken fat or grains or something like that. Our little munchkins were just not designed to digest. So we don't know what we don't know until we know different, right?
And to be fair to the consumer too, they're very clever, as you mentioned, about how even the ingredient list is, there's something called ingredient splitting. If you haven't heard of that, where they will put different types of corn, for instance, in different sequences on the listing to make it look like it's not a lot. But then when you add it together, it's, oh my gosh, this is 80% corn. Or if beef is listed as the first ingredient, and I was even guilty of that. I was like, oh, it's the first ingredient. Beef is 80% water. So if you like take the water out by weight, because the ingredients are listed by weight. So that's another thing. Then beef would probably be even like further down the list. And what is listed as number 2, 3, and 4 might in fact be the first ingredient. So it's not easy, but that's what we help you with. I am very passionate about teaching people on how to read labels. I actually happen to be vegan. So when I turned vegan almost 11 years ago, I became an expert in like dissecting everything. And of course, as a holistic health coach too, what does this mean? I can't pronounce this, but So I'm always looking at the ingredients. I never just look at calories, fat, protein, because I want to know what is in my food. And sometimes, and especially with dog food, because it's not regulated, and you were saying veterinarian approved, it doesn't even mean that a veterinarian even looked at it. You can just put it on there. So it's, and how are you supposed to know this if you don't dig? Like, we are obsessed about this stuff, but the general public isn't, right? So it's all about spreading information, and then together we can empower ourselves to make better decisions. And if we don't buy that crappy stuff, they're not going to be on the shelves. You know, we have the power as buyers. So it's really more about take charge, and just it's exhausting that we have to do it and that it's even legal to market it as such. But this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. You said it so well. Once again, you're making my job so easy today, Sunny. Like,
I'm
really.
a talker too, so I guess that's
love it. You're fantastic. Okay, I have a spicy question. You're a vegan. We had a fun conversation about this the other day, by the way, because I'm the daughter of a cattle rancher, but they were happy cows for any vegans out there. And I understand. I was a vegan for a while too. Like, I get it. I get it. Small cattle ranch, grass fed, that's the way they should be. Sometimes we can have a different concept of what's going on in the meat industry. But all that aside, would you ever feed your dog a vegan diet?
This is a very controversial topic, and one that I was afraid of a little bit to talk about. But then I'm like, something happens. I always say when you hit a certain age, and I won't say how old I am, but I'm like, I don't give a crap, because this is how I really feel. And again,
35, everyone.
Yes, thank you. Nacho taught me to stop doubting yourself and listen to your intuition, what's right for you. That doesn't mean it's right for you, it's right for me. So as a vegan, I believe that being vegan is doing the least harm possible. I don't believe it's possible to be 100% vegan. In the way we live today, I'm sure I've killed all kinds of bugs today, and I didn't want to, but just by living in today's society. And that's not an excuse, but it's also something to put into perspective when there are certain vegans who are and I've been lectured by many of them that I didn't need this and I shouldn't do this, and how can you call yourself vegan and be that? And I'm like, is this really a way to attract people to this lifestyle? Because I know that you're doing it out of love for animals, and I am vegan for the animals. I would be vegan if it wasn't healthy. I'm eating whole food, plant-based, not processed crap, right?
Correct.
But back to your question, I would not feed my dog a vegan diet because I do not believe that they can thrive on a vegan diet. There is not enough evidence. There's not a long-term study of them seeing what the effect it has on dogs. Even though dogs are technically omnivore, not strictly carnivorous like cats. If you I can take my dog, for instance, if I put a carrot and a steak in front of her, what do you think she would go to? So again, I'm saying, listen to your dog. Yeah. Should I not listen that she's like wanting the steak? And even if I put soy or some type of tofu or lentils in, she would just sniff and go straight to this is their instinct. Okay. There's this instinctual desire is to eat meat, and that's how they thrive. They can survive on a vegan diet. They can be okay on a vegan diet. I've seen many dogs, but is that your goal? Because I can also survive on French fries and Diet Coke as a vegan, but it's not really the better way to go, I think.
Right.
But
great
if
answer.
you give them a vegan diet, then you know what? Just be very careful and make sure that it is a varied diet. But I do believe that I have my set of ethics, and I feel it's unfair to impart my set of ethics onto an innocent animal that can't speak for itself. So I do make the sacrifice, and unfortunately, the cows or the pigs might make the sacrifice too. Again, I try to go to ethical sources. I never buy any meat from big stores that support factory farming, but I am conflicted. I will be very honest. I don't like it that I have to purchase animal products. It goes against every fiber of my being, but my love for my dogs are bigger than that. So sometimes you have to make a sacrifice. And for me, and I have had vegan clients before that didn't want to continue because they just couldn't feed their animals meat. And to that, I say, rethink your choice of animal companions. Go get a dog, a rabbit or a bird that has a vegetarian diet. And I understand if it's really ethically wrong, it feels really wrong for you. I'm not going to pressure them, but don't get a dog, don't get a cat. So that's my answer. And like it or hate it, that's how I look at it.
I think that's a fantastic answer, Sunny. Thank you. That was really so much information. And it reminds me, I think we were talking about this before, of a study that I read, just to go off of what Sunny's talking about, because keep in mind, there's all of the holistic pet health coaches. We do daily. This is not just, oh, we went to school and we studied nutrition. This is daily. We read studies daily. We keep up with it daily. And there was a study that I read a couple of months ago that I found really interesting, talking about how they have found that dogs may not have as much as a protein requirement as we thought. It's more an amino acid requirement, but the amino acid requirement has to be the certain profile that's only found in meat. So it's really interesting how they're literally genetically, their genes are processing these amino acids based on what they would be eating in the wild, and their digestive systems haven't really developed and transitioned that much in the last hundreds of years. However, what we're feeding them has really transitioned. So that brings me to my next question, Sunny. You are a chef. Okay, I want to come to your house, and I can imagine what your doggies eat. Okay, tell me a little bit about your culinary expertise when it comes to making pet food.
It helped that I was a chef prior to being vegan, because I actually I had butchered animals. So I tune out when I do have to do the animal. And I'm able to do that because like I said, when I was a chef, professional chef, and I had my catering company, I worked in restaurants, I cooked with based ingredients. Just to give you an example, a friend of mine, we always laugh at this because this was like a few years ago, and she came to visit. I live a little bit north of Manhattan. And so she came to visit from the city, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this smells so good. What's for dinner?" And I said, "That's for the dogs." She's like, "What?"
I love it. It does smell good, by the way.
It does
smells really good.
Amazing, right? It's just about, you obviously have to be careful, but putting little spices, that spices aren't necessarily they are for flavor too, but it's like also there's some health benefits to it. I'm also studying herbalism now. I'm in Rita Hogan's canine herbalism course.
She's amazing.
And I attend the Chestnut School of Herbs as for humans, because I'm just a plant lover, being the vegan that I am. Adding some fresh herbs into your food. And then also what I'm huge on, and I think really dogs can benefit from as much as humans, and humans especially too, is seasonal local food. So don't feed your dog. I'm in the northern hemisphere. Obviously, I don't know, anyone can look from around the world, but I'm in the Northeast. So don't feed your dog eggplant in December or tomatoes, please, because it's not tasting good. So take advantage. And this is also where you can be really environmentally conscious, is go to the farmer's market. And it's not as expensive as you think, as people say, "Oh, it's so expensive." No, because when things are in season, prices are lower because they're in bigger supply. And they're so much more nutritious. A tomato in August it's like eating like a peach almost. It's so juicy and fruity.
Yeah. Lycopene, all the good stuff.
And we always talk about a varied diet. Dr. Ruth always talks about rotating your ingredients, right? Yeah. And this is another natural way you can rotate ingredients, because what's in season July is not going to be in season in December. Then we go more into root vegetables and things like that. So it's a great way of getting that variety that we all need to get all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that we require, and dogs require. Dogs' bodies are very similar to ours. There's a lot of things you can apply directly with, of course, there are a handful of ingredients, as we can talk about that too, but that you should never feed dogs, like chocolate and raisins and onions. But overall, there's a lot of things you can give to dogs, and then some spices and macadamia nuts, I think, and nutmeg, I think, are things that you shouldn't. So always check. But if you do have a health coach working with you, that's who you can refer to. And you can be like, "Hey, can I feed my dog this?" So always check in. And of course, always check with your veterinarian, because we are not substitutes for veterinarians. So always check with your vet if you're changing your dog's diet. But don't they deserve to have the variety? Don't they deserve to have a different type of food every every week, like just every other week at least. It's just fun and it's delicious and they're going to love it. And they're just going to be,
Right.
you're going to see. I even had a client reach out to me today because I hadn't heard from her in a while. She's, my dog's doing so amazing. I can't even believe it. He's everything changed, his digestive system. And he's just like, his coat is shinier. And it just made me so happy because I didn't feel I did anything. I just told her to make some fresh food for your dog. Rewarding. It's really amazing to see the changes that can happen in dogs.
It really is. And it's so fun talking about what's in season. One of the things that I was doing wrong, I shouldn't say wrong. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. But I've been studying nutrition for a long time. And for a while, the standard was find something that works for them and stick with it. But we have since learned the importance for not only their gut health, their microbiome, to avoid food intolerances if there's leaky gut, to rotate with the season, because one of the other things we deal with is energetics, Chinese medicine, and the herbs and hot and cool foods. And so as we go into fall and it's a transition, we want to get into foods that are a little bit more warming, where in the summer we could do a little bit more cooling. Like Darla, my little munchkin, loves berries, and we grow blueberries and blackberries. And so she's our little berry tester.
Yes. And that's, of course, the best homegrown food. That's even better when you're back.
What are some of your favorite herbs for dogs?
There's a lot of different herbs. And again, it just depends on, I like a lot of the culinary herbs, to be honest. So they give them cilantro is really nice. It got a nice little, of course, some people are like, it tastes like soap to me. I don't think that dogs have that gene. I don't know.
I don't think so either.
But,
I mean, Darla eats cilantro. She likes it. I always steam these things first, by the way. Yes. That's usually a little easier for them to digest.
Milky oats, nettles, those are amazing. It all depends also what you're using it for. And again, back to your question about energetics, right? You have to be careful. Is your dog hot or cold? And something that could be working for someone isn't working. This works for that. So this is what's very overwhelming about herbalism in a good way. I love it. But it's just that the herb it's like cannabis, actually. It's just there's so many amazing things that happen in a plant that can do so many things. So if you isolate one thing, which they tend to do in Western medicine or the pharmaceuticals, it's not going to work the same because they don't have all the other aspects that's going to help. So when you're feeding something like, I don't know, nettles, you might want to add in something else that makes it work even more. So it's I don't want to complicate things in this live, but I'm still learning. I'm still a student of that. But I find that nature is so freaking smart. And I will tell you one thing. If you say, what's your favorite herb? It's whatever my dog likes, because the dog will go into the backyard and he'll sniff out my dog Tofu. She will find a specific plant that she likes. Of course, now I'm spacing on it, what it's called, but there are these specific leaves. Doesn't matter where we are.
Dandelion leaves?
No, it's not dandelion. She will just go past all the other leaves and she'll go exactly that, because that is what they need. Dogs know what they need.
They do.
They're so in tune with their bodies. So that's what I like to see about herbs and how they gravitate naturally to them. Yeah.
Well, yes, so much good information on this, Sunny, and I have loved this conversation. It's really been amazing. Your story is amazing. And speaking of tofu, that's not just something that Miss Sunny eats. That is also the name of her current dog. So she has another member of the family, and she is continuing on with little Tofu. Tell us about Tofu.
Tofu is a feisty she's a little runt. She's also a Cane Corso, an Italian Mastiff. She's going to be 8 next month.
I wish I had a picture. I should have put one up.
She's napping down below me. Like, she just loves, she's an older lady now. So she sleeps a lot, but we just started her in scent work class. So she had a luxating patella when she was very young, which is very unusual in large breeds. And that was hell, because I had to keep her confined for 7 weeks and then finding out all that I had to do about that. So again, like all the health coaches in this program, I'm sure that I'm one out of many that says, oh, I wish I had known that when my dog, because it's like we go through things. And that's why I'm big on not shaming anybody or making them feel bad that they don't do this or that, because there's so many things, but she had this luxating patella. I had to have surgery on her because she couldn't even bear weight on it. But then she developed arthritis, and I didn't know because of it. So now she is still limping a little bit here and there. But thank you. I will give a shout out to Angela or Darlena from CBD Dog Health because she's fantastic. And I have to tell you, I did Adequan injections, which basically made me even broker than I am now. But I started.
Okay.
Yeah. And so now I actually give her CBD Dog Health. It's Ease. It helps with both of her things that she has. Two things that's wrong, which is arthritis and allergies. I don't know if it's necessarily allergies, but I think it is because it's seasonal. In the summertime or spring, summer, and the fall, she gets it. And I tell you, every time, ever since I started giving her this, she hasn't been limping. I mean, it's like a miracle. So cannabis and mushrooms, I am all about it. So that's why Angela's my girl, even though I've never met her in person, but I listen to her and she's amazing. And she's also a holistic pet health coach. She's incredible. And I love her product. She's just obsessed about the purest ingredients. You get them in tinctures. And again, I wish I knew her products when Nacho was sick. He did well on the turkey tail that I gave him. And again, if anybody has any questions about if your dog was diagnosed with hemangiosarcoma or even osteosarcoma, I know Angela had a dog, a Doberman, that had osteosarcoma and prolonged her life. Again, nature is fantastic. So there are options. I'm not saying there's not a space for Western meds. We do need that too. But I'm telling you, if you're lost and look to nature, I can't say enough about it.
Absolutely, Sunny. You're so spot on with so many of these things. And just to reiterate what you were mentioning, same. I mean, the CBD Dog Health and the mushrooms, all of my pets are on them. And I've been studying those as well for many years, but I love these products in particular. And once again, this is something that a holistic pet health coach can help guide you through. And I just want to take this opportunity right now, after hearing Sunny's incredible story, and some of you may know mine. We all come from, I shouldn't say we all, all of us have our different reasons, but the passion is there. And a lot of us are rooted in offering hope, offering compassion, offering solutions and guidance, but our hearts are so big into this because we've had experiences that have led us here. And if this is resonating with you, if you are feeling called to be a holistic pet health coach or need our help, please see the links in our comments. There are links there. And there is a workshop coming up on June 19th. Our amazing Dr. Ruth Roberts, the vet behind all of this, America's first and most loved pet health coach, she will be having a live workshop on June 19th. There is a link to that in the comments if this resonates with you and you're interested in becoming a holistic pet health coach. As we're wrapping up, we're going to do something a little fun. We had a little bit of heavy talk today, and that's okay. I think we could have gone more down that road. And I think that's another thing. If any of you are having a hard time with grief, we've also got some resources for that because that's tough. And maybe if there's any questions, now would be a good time to pop them in. And I think I have a feeling that Sunny and I may be doing another one, and we're going to talk about pest loss because this is big. We're going to talk about grief because this is huge, but we're going to transition a little from the heavy, and we're going to leave with a little bit of bounce, right? A little bit of something fun because it's Friday.
It is Friday. Yay, Friday.
It's Friday. So this is a fun little part that I like to call pet perks or pet peeves. And I have asked all of our holistic pet health coaches if you had to give 3 things that you can't live without, that you're like, all right, I need these in my life. These are my absolute perks. What would they be? And pet peeves are the converse of that. What you're like, if you could wipe them off the face of the planet, that would be your pet peeve. So there's a little bit of I give you a little bit of notice, but this is like rapid fire questions, and I'm putting you in the hot seat here, Sunny. So, pet peeves, go.
Retractable leashes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're terrible. Just get rid of them, please. I can't even stomach to see them. But yes, please just don't do that. It's dangerous for you. It's dangerous for the dog. Control. I see people with 12 feet lead and just letting their dog go all over the place. It's really dangerous. And it doesn't protect your dog. It gets them in trouble. So please do not. That's a big pet peeve.
You got two more?
Oh, sorry. Pet peeves. Pet peeves would be prescription diets. We talked about that already. There's nothing prescription about it. There's no like medicine in it. There's really nothing there. And the third would be milky bones. Oh my God, I get offered those all the time. And it's like cancer in a box, I feel. It's just
awful.
Please don't feed your dogs milky bones. And I hope I don't get sued because I mentioned
their. It's okay. We'll just say another that
but I just see them everywhere. And it's just like,
I know it's hard because I experience the same thing. I get it when we're with pets, we get a lot of, oh, can your little pumpkin have a treat? And I always have to say no, unless I know exactly what's in it. And a lot of times it was one of those things that you mentioned. And it's not good. And it's funny. I just have to point out, it's not really funny, but every single pet coach that we've had so far has listed prescription diets. So take heed, everyone. We're changing the thought. We're changing the education on this, on what a real healthy diet can look like. So moving on to the fun part.
Pet perks. You wouldn't think that I would mention this because I've had my history with bones, but raw meaty bones. That is just the best thing you can give to your dog. Of course, always supervised and never leave them in the crate and go to work or anything, but it's just a natural way for your dog to clean their teeth, have those pearly whites, much better than, yes, you can brush their teeth, but really just having that. And also it keeps them busy and it is also mentally stimulating and it's really a good treat for them. So just for a little while, they're not going to gnaw on it for hours on end, but give it to them for 20 minutes or so, put it back in the freezer and the fridge and then go back. And it's really an amazing treat for them. So next perk is mushrooms. I not say mushrooms in every form, whether you want to give it to them in the basis of medicine like tincture or powder or cook it for them. They can have mushrooms and it's delicious. So add them into your crock pot or put them on top of your kibble if you're still feeding kibble. Delicious and they're so nutritious, especially lion's mane. We talk about older dogs. I have an older dog now. I'm always looking out because their dog dementia is a real thing. It's really good for the brain. Of course, if you have a dog with cancer, I hope you don't. Turkey tail is great. And then reishi, just for everything. It's a miracle. And the last one, I would say just a perk is spending time with your dog without your cell phone. I should put that under perk too when I see someone walking. But isn't it perk just to hug your dog? At least spend 10, 15, isn't that at least what you should spend with your dog? 15 minutes just cuddling and just looking into their eyes and just saying, oh, you're so beautiful. And just they love that. They love your attention. So make time for that as much as you make time for eating healthy and working out and going to work. Spend at least, I would say half an hour at the very least with your dog. You have to.
Fantastic. Pet perks and pet peeves. Melissa Sherman and I were talking about this last time, the importance of this. She's a colleague of ours, how important it is. And you were talking about it earlier too, how important it is to just take a few minutes because to your pet, you are their whole life.
Yes.
You are their whole life.
Yes.
Take 15 minutes and just ground. We are so caught up in the inertia of every day as humans. We have to do this. We need to get this done. We're always in the grind.
Yes.
I think our pets were here as a way to give us a break from the grind. Get off the phone, get off the computer, take a break from the grind and just be. Should we do another collective? I feel like we need a collective.
Yes. And they don't have TV. They can't read a book. They're just waiting for you when you're at work or whatever you're doing. So just think about that. And also when you're taking them for a walk, let them sniff, let them take their time. That's so mentally stimulating for them. Like they want to explore. And that's another pet perk. I guess I have more pet peeves than perks maybe that I came up with, but people yanking their dog, get out and just keep going. Please just let them sniff. This is their time, your time together. So that I'm off my soapbox now, but just things to think about. And it's going to get, if you have a nervous dog, things like that, it can help so much. And just like you said, ground yourself and be with your dog. It's going to do miracles.
Yeah. Sunny, I feel like you did such a good job of showing us who you are. I feel like I know so much more about you. It's been wonderful getting to know you. I hope everyone else has enjoyed getting to know the amazing Sunny. Her story is really so inspirational. Once again, if this is resonating with you, there's links on how you can find out more if you want to get in touch with either of us or to become a certified holistic pet health coach. Last call for questions. Did you have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap this up today, Miss Sunny?
I think no, just say thank you so much, and thank you for inspiring me back, because you're also very inspirational, and just a gift to know people like you. And my heart feels full, and so appreciate that. And if you anybody watching this on the replay, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm at Nacho Average Dog Health Coach on both Instagram and Facebook. You can send me an email at sunny@nachoaveragedoghhealthcoach.com. Yes, that is a mouthful, but I would love to hear from you. And if I can help with anything, if you're thinking about the program, or if you have an issue with your dog or cat, just let me know. I'd love to help. So thank you.
All right. This has been an amazing coaches collab. Thank you again, everyone who's listening, joining, supportive, and have a wonderful weekend or whatever day you're watching it. And as we sign off, positive vibes, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.